With Debian 12 just being released recently, I thought I would share some information on what to expect with the new release. Now, the highlights are non-free firmware in the installer and standard ISO, so Wi-Fi should work without issue. And also newer versions of all the software and a newer LTS kernel. The kernel, speaking of which, shipped with Debian 12 is 6.1. whatever. It's the newest LTS kernel that was available at the time when the decision was made several months back. Then this kernel has initial support for Rust programming and better memory management and memory tiering. Now, it also includes BTRFS performance improvements, which I plan to take advantage of. And since non-free firmware is now used in the installer and now by default after installation, if you want to keep things pure, you will need to do an expert install and either uncheck the non-free firmware box during installation or select no on use non-free firmware, depending on which expert install option you choose, whether it's the in-cursus one or the graphical one. Now, it also detects Windows 11 while dual booting. Sorry, I don't have any B-roll of that. I just refuse to use Windows 11, so sorry. Now, if you're wondering why they didn't put insert newer version of software in the stable branch before launch, just know that these versions were chosen several months ago, like around the first of the year and before, and at the time they were the newest versions. Then they were tested to ensure stability before including it in the repo for Bookworm. So if you're wondering why you don't have GNOME 44 and why Firefox is only at 102. whatever, that's why. And now, and if you're the type where you just have to have the newest versions of all the things, but you still want to run Debian, you can get around some of this with Flatpaks and with app pinning and backports. You're pretty quick, actually. Now, DJ Ware made a really good video about app pinning, and I'll leave a link down to that video in the description if you are interested, if I can remember to do it. So some things have to align for that link to appear down below. Now, on to the first impressions. The first impressions I've got of Debian 12 are pretty positive. The install was as easy as ever, and I installed Debian 12 on my new laptop. It's a new-ish laptop, new to me anyway. And it's a ThinkPad T470S. I know it's old, I know it's kind of underpowered, blah, 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 but I got a smoking deal on it, and I've upgraded a little bit. I've upgraded the RAM and upgraded the SSD and blah, blah, blah. And I'll be installing it on my desktop before long, but this install of Dev1 that I've got on my desktop with OpenRC and BTRFS subvolumes, encrypted, and blah, 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 all that, it's well over a year old, and it's good stuff. I like it. Now, the laptop is running Debian 12, also with encrypted BTRFS subvolumes, and I'll leave a link down in the description if you're interested in seeing a tutorial of that installation process, because BTRFS does not support encryption natively, but if I can do it, you can do it. It's pretty easy. Just a heads up, though. Don't expect TimeShift to work, because it doesn't support encrypted subvolumes. So, you have been warned. I've also run this release of Debian in several virtual machines, set up network shares with NFS and Samba, and went through several installations, installed with different desktop environments. And even though I'm not a GNOME guy, the GNOME experience on Debian 12 was pretty solid, but in my opinion, the KDE experience is better. Although, when it comes to full desktop environments, full disclosure, I pretty much always recommend XFCE, because it's as slow about updating as Debian is. So if you want a boringly stable computer that will just keep the same experience for years to come, Debian with XFCE is the way to go. XFCE is also very customizable in its own right, and if you can right-click something, there's probably a properties button, and you can change stuff. And you can also get into changing things with CSS, but that's not what this video is about, so I digress. If you've been following the channel for more than about 10 minutes, you will know that I'm a window manager guy, and Debian is a very, very good base for installing a window manager. And I like it better than Arch for this, but that's just me. Your preferences will most likely be different than mine. So stay tuned if you'd like to see my current setup on Debian 12. Spoiler alert, it's suckless. And I'll probably follow up this video eventually with a video of my updated DWM setup if you're interested in that. So if I can insert another opinion here. From my usage of Debian over the years and the consensus of the IT professionals who have reviewed Debian 12 on YouTube and the internet at large, and the overall sentiment that Debian has cultivated since 1993, this is the measuring stick that should be used when looking for your forever distro. And frankly, there aren't many who can measure up, so to speak. So with all that said, I'm Mike. You're awesome. And I'll catch you in the next one. Later.